Hi, it's Cindy. This is video 3 of my series on sexual immorality and addiction. So I want to talk to you today about the symptoms of sex addiction. There are lots of symptoms, but I'm just going to hit the top few. So one thing is, if you're having sex with multiple partners, you're a sex addict. Yep. You're not supposed to be having sex with multiple partners. That is a symptom that you have a sexual addiction. Now, what causes that sexual addiction, we talked about in video number 2, so I would ask you to please go back and listen to that. But it always is leading you down the path you never wanted to go and taking you places you never thought you'd end up. Number 2, if you're just craving sex, it interferes with everything else in your life. That longing, that desire, that craving to have sex is the addiction, just like someone longs to have cocaine or heroin or meth or any of the drugs or an alcohol addiction. There's also a love hunger where you're just longing for love and you're willing to do anything and look at anything and be with anybody even though you know they're bad for you to get that love or that craving for sex met. That is a sign that you are in a sex addiction. You're craving for it. Number 3, excessive sexual activities despite wanting to stop. You can't quit. You really dislike this about yourself, but you're addicted and you can't quit. Do you know that the dopamine in your brain that you are addicted to when you orgasm is more addictive than heroin, meth, and cocaine? That is a proven fact. So this is not an easy thing that you can just say, oh, I'm going to resist it. Okay? You need help, and I'm here to help you understand what you're going through. But if you are in excessive sexual activities, now I mean excessive, a lot of the statistics say that the average pornography addict will look at pornography or recall it in their thoughts up to 4 hours a day. Yes, that's excessive, 4 hours a day. In my opinion, any time during the day is excessive because you are opening yourself up for demonic possession, and I mean possession and oppression. So excessive sexual activities, now that could be going to clubs, it could be something online or on your phone, it could be calling 1-900 numbers, it could be, I've heard one person had sex with women 10 times a day. He even had that with his wife and wonder what he was having outside. That's just way over the top. You're a sex addict. Number 4, you can't cut back on the amount of sex you're having, whether that's masturbation or with a person. You can't cut back. Just like you can't quit drinking alcohol when you're an alcoholic. You're a sex addict if you cannot cut back. The Bible tells us that we're supposed to abstain from sex, even in a holy marriage, for times of prayer and fasting. So if you cannot abstain, then you've got a problem. Number 5, if you're neglecting other obligations in the pursuit of sex. Let's say you turn on your computer and you're trying to work on your accounting or paying your bills, and a little window pops up and woo, you just run off on that rabbit trail and you get in debt. You don't pay your bills. All kinds of things are happening to you because you're neglecting your obligations. Let's say you're neglecting your spouse because you'd rather do it the easy way by masturbating to pornography than have to please somebody else. You're a sex addict. Number 6. All right. Some sort of sex behaviors, even in a relationship, which are unholy. Okay? Like I said, sex addiction, it just increases, increases in its darkness, increases in its need for acting out, wicked pornography scenes, or even imagining these things. Or if you're a woman into romance novels, you want him to role play with you in a way that's very unhealthy and something your spouse doesn't want to do. You are probably a sex addict. Number 7, the escalation of sexual behavior to get some effect. All right? So as I said, as a young man, they enter into pornography in some reason. They get access to it. It's quite common. You know, I asked the Lord one time, were all men sex addicts? And he said, no. He said, all men have seen pornography, but not all men are addicted to it. Some of you resisted, some of you did not, and now you find yourself on this road to where it's destroying your life. And I understand. Life happens. You get tired, you get overworked. There are things happening in your life that, you know, you're not attracted to your spouse anymore, or you give yourself all kinds of excuses, but the truth is you're in trouble. You're sick and you need help. And I'm here to try to help you the best I can. So this escalation to darkness, objectifying the opposite sex, or in a pornographic relationship with LGBT community, you know, this escalation of sex behavior. I've actually seen people walking on the street with dog collars on, with big spikes on it, and a mate holding the leash. You know, that's over the top. You're a sex addict, whether it's with gay lovers or with heterosexual lovers. You're a sex addict. If you are in withdrawal, now I mean no sex, okay? You've withdrawn from all sex. You are trying your hard to withstand, to resist this thing, then you're probably a sex addict, because normal people don't need to withstand from having no sex unless you're single and holy unto the Lord. And he gives you a grace for celibacy and chasteness. And while I'm here, I'll define that. Chaste before the Lord means C-H-A-S-T-E. It means that you do not have sex in any form in its acts outside of marriage. You do not commit fornication. But you're willing to get married one day and have a holy, intimate sexual life with your spouse. The other one is, if you're not chaste, but if you are celibate, that means you have dedicated your life to the Lord God 100%. You will never have sex again, and you will never get married. That's celibacy. And God gives us a grace. He actually dampens our sexual desires so that we can do that. And it is a grace that he's given throughout the centuries in Christianity, because God doesn't want us to be tormented by these desires. But I also want to remind you that he created sexual desire. He said, be fruitful and multiply. He invented sex. Sex in holiness and a true intimate relationship is not wrong. But when we take it to an unhealthy level and become addicted to pornography and sex acts that are not of God and that wound and hurt other people around us, it is a serious problem. Now let me say this, that 50% of sex offenders are sex addicts. But not all sex addicts are sex offenders. That means they're not rapists, they're not molesters, child molesters. But 50% of all sex offenders started out with pornography and sex acts, sex addiction. A sex offender, now, it has certain characteristics. They have a very perverse need for power, for dominance. They have anger and rage. They are very controlling, and they're very vengeful. Now, that doesn't mean that all sex addicts are that way, but all sex offenders are. They're very narcissistic in their ways. They're very power hungry. Do you know when a man rapes a woman, it's not about sex to him, it's about domination and power. It's about revenge, maybe for some other subject, and the innocent victim is just that, a victim that's innocent. It's about revenge, and it's about dominating power over. It's very perverse and very demonic, but that's what it is. Well, I hope I've helped you a little bit today to find some of the symptoms. I'm going to talk to you again in video number 4. Don't get discouraged. These were the last 2 videos, were very hard to hear. But God has not forgotten you. He knows what you're dealing with, and he wants to set you free. Be blessed. Get excited.